Okay, so you guys have been traveling for a little while now. Your rations have started getting. Hey, DM, what do dwarves eat? What? What? Like dwarves like mostly live underground, right? So do they like farm? You know you're about to get ambushed, right? Like I've been foreshadowing that. What do dwarves eat? I mean, Senshi likes bread. Oh yeah, no, Senshi loves bread. You know, in Terry Pratchett they have like dwarven fighting bread or something like that. Maybe that's it. We're literally in the middle of a session, guys. Like that's my point. Like, do they just like grow grain like everyone else, or is it like, guys, can we look? No, I haven't decided like in this setting like what like dwarvish staple foods are. No. Do we want to get on with the campaign, or do we want to spend like half an hour, like writing some canon about dwarvish farming practices? I mean, dwarvish farming practice. You know, I vote farming practice. Farming practice. We're talking about dwarven farming practice. Oh, cool. Yeah. Seriously, even you're up. All right, fine. Let's start with the obvious. So the obvious one, I guess, would be that actually dwarves don't mostly live underground, and they do just like farm like the majority of mortals in the setting. Except I guess like the mines and stuff is just how they do like castles and like fortifications. Like instead of something like Helm's Deep, they would just make something that's completely underground. And like you can imagine, if their castles are just like all underground instead, you can imagine like if you've ever been around Europe, there are castles like there's just going to be a castle, a ruined castle, just in the middle of a field somewhere. So, hang on, bro. I think you just described a dungeon, like a fantasy, like dungeon. I think I did, yeah. Well, shit. All right. I guess we solved that pretty quickly. What's next? Aarakocra? What are they eat? Okay, hang on. So the setting is just littered with abandoned dwarven fortifications, which end up being like filled with monster, and that's just how. Well, okay, that does work. That came together quite a lot quicker than I expected. Yeah, it's kind of boring though. No, we can do better. Wait, hey, what was wrong with that one? It even explained like dungeons and stuff. What? Yeah, but then the question was, what do dwarves eat? What's the answer? Just the same thing as everyone else? That's boring. We can do better than that. I mean, I thought that was pretty good. But, let him cook. I want to see where this goes. We have Jeremy's invested, then alright. Okay, so now let's take the position that they all do mostly live underground. So they almost exclusively live underground, and like maybe they're just like genuinely better at mining and stuff than all of the other mortal races, which means they have like a monopoly on the majority of like mineable material, like metallics and stuff like that. So they trade for like the majority of their food, which has implications. Oh, let him cook, I get it. But like if dwarves like mostly trade for their like staple foods, then that would mean that they would be very, very invested in like economies remaining stable, which means that like that'd be generally okay, there's some story implications for that. So like maybe they're like pacifists, like not in the sense that like they are against war, just so much as like they'd be the first ones to starve to death if something did happen. I mean also if they get desperate, they can probably just like raid people and then retreat back to their fortified underground bunkers. That is definitely an interesting point. Also, but like on the what do they eat? Like the cuisine side of things, like if they're relying on trade, then they're not getting a lot of fresh stuff, which means like maybe they get like really creative with spices. I kind of like that. Actually, I do really like the idea, like fantasy dwarves being really proud of having like super spicy stuff that like other mortal races like wouldn't be able to eat. Oh, that does seem on brand. I could see them being like, "Oh, you think this is spicy? Oh, you should try dwarvish, whatever." I just feel like there's more to. Okay, we're gonna ditch that whole idea. Here's what we're gonna do. Okay, that one was good. Okay, so like the first thing I think of whenever I think of like fantasy dwarves is like that line, they delve too greedily and too deep. So like what were they digging for? Does like do things just get like increasingly magical the further down you get? Well, like yeah, that's where all the good shit is. Everyone knows that. Like, what does too deep mean in this context? I mean, it means Balrogs. Balrog. Exactly. Water seepage. What is it? Wait. Yeah, water seepage. Because, like, too deep definitely means, like, beneath the water table, right? If you're beneath the water table, then your mind is going to be continuously just filling up with water. You're a giant well at that point. On one hand, you need to be constantly, like, pumping out that water somehow, but also, you've got a bunch of water to use. So I'm thinking aquaculture. Aquaculture, like, fish and shellfish and stuff. I mean, yeah. Like, if you're going to farm underground, I mean, without the sun is a massive source of energy for, like, anything growing. And, like, sure, they probably cultivate giant magical shiitake mushrooms. Sounds pretty good, actually. While shiitake does slap, I feel like fantasy dwarves don't strike me as vegetarian or, like, fungitarian. Right, so like without the sun, like maybe the thing that like allows things to grow in quantities required for you to sustain a bunch of dwarves is like the increasing magicalness of going deeper and deeper into the planet. Please tell me that where you're going with this is like increasingly giant and magical, like clams and prawns and oh my god, the lobsters from Elden Ring, the giant lobsters from Elden Ring. Yeah, yes, yes. Okay, so the further the mind delves into the deep, the more likely you are to encounter, magically infused minerals like mithril and adamantine and stuff like that. But you're more likely to encounter incursion from things like Balrogs. Balrog. So there's this risk and reward and like cultural pressure to potentially like go deeper and more greedily. That one line is your guiding star, isn't it? Oh, absolutely. But at the same time, like the deeper you go, the more like magically infused minerals there are that, seep into the mine through the water. And so this like magically infused and very mineral rich water, makes the mushrooms and, the lobsters and things grow bigger and more delicious. But also like maybe strengthens their exoskeletons with things like mithril and adamantine to the point they're basically invulnerable. Please tell me that dwarves in this setting ride adamantine, mithril, exoskeletons, giant Elden Ring ass lobsters into battle. I need this. I mean, they do now. This is just so not where I thought this was gonna go. So, like, I guess in this culture of like fantasy dwarves, then like instead of like cattle farmers, you have immensely powerful warriors that like fight these giant Elden Ring ass lobsters. I ain't gonna lie, I really could use some seafood right now. So, the dwarves in this setting are on this like constant like knife's edge of like risk and reward, the wealth of going down deeper and like the ease, or not necessarily ease, but the rewards of like your farming practices. But on the other hand, the increased risk of incursion by the kinds of things that dwell in the deep dark dark. I get the feeling that like not all of their civilizations like last terribly long. Hang on, which kind of gives us the dungeons that we had before. And now they have their entirely different cuisines compared to people that live above. They have like mostly mushrooms and lichens and effectively seafood. Incredibly large, magical, and difficult to kill seafood. I like it. Wait, and they have the tendency to use like the giant like mallet hammers to like crack through the like crab claw things. This is all working for me. And so they constantly like at this risk of delving too greedily and too deep. Because what if the Balrog shows up? Or the lobsters break free? And also, this is why Senshi loves bread so much. Because he doesn't get to have it very often. Nice. A culture where the farmers are great warriors fighting monsters of their own creations. I like it. Yeah, it'll do. I will do, he says. All right. Say, let him cook. Let him cook. Yeah, let him cook. Yeah. Oh, I get it because of food and right. Yeah.